everyone, welcome to the chemistry sessions. So I hope you all are maintaining your health as well as revising all the concepts that we have done. So basically what we are dealing with is chemistry in everyday life, what all chemicals are needed which are related to nothing but chemistry. So far what we have done in organic, inorganic and physical. The combination of all is the chemistry that we deal with in everyday life. Whatever we feel around us, whatever we have around us and whatever the clothes we are wearing in. So basically all those are nothing but chemicals. All those are having certain kind of a structure. So everything around us is related to chemistry, is in the terms of chemicals, is in the terms of structures. So you have to deal with chemistry in each and every part of life. The difference is that you are not actually noticing that the chemicals play so much of important part in your lives. So what we are dealing with in chemistry in everyday life, we have covered so many things under the category of drugs. What are drugs? Nothing but the medicines having a therapeutic action, having a relieving property in order to treat the diseases, in order to treat the underlying conditions which are going on in our body. So that is what the drugs are used for. The drugs are the medicines and it has got different classes as well. So what we have discussed so far is, we have discussed antacids, we have discussed antihistamines. All of these which I am telling you are nothing but the medicines, the kind of medicines that has been developed by researches of so many years. That is very useful in order to treat all the kinds of, almost each and every kind of disease which is happening in our bodies. So basically they are so much of use. So we have done antacids, we have done antihistamines, antimicrobials, neurologically active drugs including the tranquilizers, analgesics. So we have covered all of these things. Also now what in the last session what we have did was, we have done the antiseptics, the disinfectants that are around us, that we are dealing with. Whenever we have some kind of bruises, some kind of wounds or cuts in our body, what do? We apply an antiseptic. That is again but a chemical that is actually responsible for the inhibition of growth of microorganisms as well as killing of the microorganisms. So that is how, depending upon the type of concentrations used in the chemicals, what do is, we actually serve them as we assign a particular purpose to them, that is disinfecting us, freeing us from all the kinds of infections of microbial growths. So that is what we deal in drugs, in particularly antiseptics and disinfectants. What we are left with is the anti-fertility drugs. So let us just discuss what anti-fertility drugs are. So we are going to deal with anti-fertility drugs. So meanwhile, just try to have a thought about what actually anti-fertility drugs could be and what will be their purpose. Here is a question for you related to the last session. So the question here says, what is the composition of Dettol? What is the composition of Dettol? So pick up your pens, pick up your papers, and you need to draw the structures of the components as well. So that is question, super easy. Those who have revised the last session will be knowing it very well. So basically Dettol is nothing but an antiseptic. That is an antiseptic. Number one. What does it contain? It contains chloroxylenol. Yes, that is one of the components. It contains chloroxylenol as well as what? Alpha terpineol. Yes, that is the another kind of alcohol that is present in here. Alpha terpineol. What are the structures related to it? So we have got xylene, we know what xylene is, that is how we are going to make it. In this case, I need to make the metaxylene. So here is the xylene. I need all for the alcohol, that means OH I represented here, and what I am left with is chloro. So chloro must be fixed here in the middle of the 2 methyl groups, that is this very case. Now what is alpha terpineol? Alpha terpineol is something like this, again an alcohol. So I will be mentioning it something like this. So that is how it is going to be, along with some kind of an attachment here, 2 methyls and 1 ol, that is 1 alcohol present. So that is nothing but the alpha terpineol, and that is the entire composition of the Dettol. I hope you all have got this right. Now let's start on with the anti-fertility drugs. I hope you all have given it a thought about what anti-fertility drugs are. So basically those kind of medicines, those kind of drugs which are actually controlling the population. Population these days is a major issue, is a major concern, especially in India. So what is happening is people are not actually trying to have a proper family planning. That is why our population is increasing and is affecting our growth and development also. Why? Because there is so much of below poverty line people and so much of above poverty line as well. What is happening is, due to a higher population, many of the people are getting unemployed and finally resulting in some of them leading to below poverty line families. So basically there may be other aspects as well for the overpopulation of a country. It is affecting overall the growth and development of the country. So what has science did for that? Science has actually developed so many things. So basically since many years researches have been developed in the category of developing anti-fertility drugs. That means those kind of medicines which are actually known as the birth control pills. So basically what we are dealing with over here is the anti-fertility drugs are the birth control pills, because the population is the major issue in our country. So birth control pills, also known as what? Also known as the oral contraceptives. So these are oral contraceptives. So basically what is the purpose of these pills? What is the purpose? In order to actually, the purpose is in order to reduce the fertility in a female. So basically that is reduce the chances of the egg getting fertilized in a female body. So basically these are such kind of medicines which actually stop the fertilization of an egg, converting it into an embryo and so on. So that is what the drugs do, the anti-fertility drugs. What is fertility? Having actually conceiving capability. Conceiving capability within a woman's body is nothing but what? Fertility. And anti-fertility means against that fertility. These drugs are acting against that conceiving capability. So basically what happens is, this is nothing but known as the birth control pills as well as the oral contraceptives. And what is the function of these? So basically what is the function? We have already discussed what the function is. Now what is actually included in these kind of anti-fertility drugs? So what does anti-fertility drugs have? Or contain, I can say. So basically what is in there? Anti-fertility drugs are nothing but containing artificial or synthetic female hormones. So they contain artificial or synthetic female sex hormones So what are the hormones which are within the female's body? It is a balance between estrogen and progesterone. So it is a balance between, one is estrogen and the second one is the progesterone. So there must be a balance, proper balance maintained within the body in order to have a conceiving capability, in order to have a fertility within the female's body. So what is happening is, anti-fertility drugs are nothing but the high doses of these kind of hormones. So what is happening by these? So these are more potent anti-fertility drugs. Drugs are more strong, or I can say more potent, having a lot of potential than the natural hormones. So these drugs are having more strength than, more potent than the natural hormones. So what is the work of these hormones within a body, within a female's body? So the purpose of hormones, these hormones which I have discussed, first is the estrogen. First is the estrogen. It actually regulates the menstrual cycle in women's body. So it regulates menstrual cycle in female's body. Whereas the purpose of progesterone within the female's body is actually the reverse. It actually avoids or reduces the ovulation. So it suppresses the ovulation in all. It actually suppresses the ovulation. So that is what is the purpose of these hormones within the female body. And what happens? These anti-fertility drugs are actually having estrogen and progesterone. Not estrogen and progesterone, not exactly that, but their derivatives. So I have got their derivatives. So these are the two things which are present in anti-fertility drugs. A kind of a pill having more strength than the natural hormones which are actually present in the body, and estrogen, it regulates the menstrual cycle. The progesterone in the body, it suppresses the ovulation. So that is the work of these two hormones. We need to have a proper balance between the two in order to having a proper fertility. So these are the derivatives which are present in the anti-fertility drugs, and the derivatives are nothing but associated with some kind of steroids. So these derivatives are nothing but associated with steroids. So now you can imagine how harmful they could be if taken in large quantities. It can actually disrupt the entire menstrual cycle for a woman. It can be very, very dangerous. It can be even life-taking. So these are nothing but that is a summary for anti-fertility drugs, and let us just have a structure for these two. What kind of drugs are actually employed in birth control pills? That is the question. So let's discuss that. So the drugs used in birth control pills. So what are the kind of drugs? First is the drug that is similar to progesterone. So it is, first is so it's norethindrone. So it's okay, norethindrone, that is the first, norethindrone, and the second one is novestrol. The second one is novestrol, or that is the common name for that. It is otherwise ethinyl estradiol. So these are the two most commonly used drugs in the birth control pills, and this very drug resembles the progesterone, and this very drug will be acting as estrogen. These are basically progesterone and estrogen, but associated with some other kinds of steroids. These are not exactly those hormones, but the derivatives. Again and again I am telling you, so just pay attention. So now let's draw the structure for these two. So the structures will be something like this. Slightly complicated, but once we draw it, we will get it. So it is and a 5-membered ring over here. So that is how we are going to make it. That, and now let's draw the main things over here. I have got a dashed hydrogen. So the stereochemistry does matter here in this case. I have got hydrogen. What else? Again a hydrogen. Again a hydrogen. And here the methyl group, CH3, and OH here, phenolic group. What else? I need to have one alkyne. So that is how I am going to represent norethindrone. So that is acting as the progesterone, very, very strong, having so much of strength than the natural progesterone. So that is norethindrone. So I hope you all have drawn this. Now let's move on to the ethinyl estradiol or novestrol. That is the common name for that. We have got a similar kind of structure here as well, but there are slight changes. Let us just see what kind of slight changes. First you need to draw all these kind of rings. That means 3 6-membered rings and 1 5-membered ring over here. So what do I have? I am just drawing the rings first, then I will be defining these rings. Let me just draw that again like that. I am starting it from the bottom. Again a 6-membered ring and finally a 5-membered ring. That is how we are going to make it. And this very ring over here, the difference lies within here. The difference is that this would be now aromatic ring along with what? Along with one phenol. Now let us draw the hydrogens. You need not draw this very hydrogen, but all of the others you need to represent. That means here I would be starting off with this very hydrogen, H, a dashed edge followed by a wedge H, next again dashed, again the similar. This will be methyl over here, a phenolic group along with ethinyl. So that is how we are going to represent this very structure. So that is how we are going to draw the ethinyl estradiol. I hope that is very well clear to you, and the function of anti-fertility drugs is also clear to you. So what is the drawback over here? Let us just discuss that. The drawback of anti-fertility drugs: anything associated with a positive effect is always associated with some kind of a reaction or some kind of a negative effect as well. So the drawbacks: so the drawbacks here in the case of anti-fertility drugs is what? Number one and only, that higher doses can even lead to the disruption of menstrual cycle. So high doses can result in various problems. Within a female body. Therefore, one need to have a proper doctor's prescription in order to actually have these kind of anti-fertility drugs. So you need to go and ask your doctor for a proper prescription, and this very thing is applicable in almost all the kinds of medicines. You need to have a proper prescription because there is very less knowledge about the medicines, about these kind of drugs to the common people. So if they take higher doses, or if they take a different kind of a drug which is not even required for the disease, for the cure of that disease, then what will happen? It can lead to several other problems, and also there may be many kinds of drugs, many kinds of medicines which can be allergic as well. So you need to take care of all the aspects before actually consuming a medicine. So you need to consult your doctor for each and every time. That is, one must require proper doctor's prescription. To consume such medicines, most of the medicines I am talking about. So I hope that is very well clear to you. All these are included under the category of anti-fertility drugs, what we have done so far. So just try to note this down. Then I will be taking up another class of drugs. Now we are not going to deal with the drugs, but certain other kinds of chemicals, very interesting. So I hope you all have noted this down. Let's move on to the another class of medicines, another class of chemicals, that is the chemicals that are present in the food. Maybe the adulterants or maybe having nutritional value. What kind are those? So let us just discuss that. So let's move on to the chemicals in food. So that is the second last topic in this chapter. Chemicals in food. So what kind of chemicals can be there in food? You must be seeing in ice creams, if you see the ice creams, there are different colored ice creams you have got. What color you want, any color you want, you will be getting that kind of an ice cream, and even the glittery kind of ice creams are also very much popular these days. So you've got rainbows and rainbows all around within your food. So basically the rainbows may be associated with the natural colors which are present in the food, and also may be due to some kind of chemicals which are added in the food. So here those chemicals in the food may be the food colors, that is the food coloring, to make it look more appealing, to make it look more presentable, and there may be some kind of extra flavors added into it. So there may be flavors or sweeteners. That means despite of having natural sugars, that means if you go into the market and you try to have some kind of fruit juice, that is mixed fruit juice if you want, then what happens is most of the times they add artificial sweeteners in those fruit juices, making it more, enhancing its taste more and more. So that is why the chemicals are actually used in food in order to enhance their taste, in order to enhance their appearances. So basically there are food colors, there are flavors, there may be addition of antioxidants, there may be addition of fat emulsifiers or stabilizers. What else? There may be addition of some kind of preservatives. So these are what are included in these are the chemicals which are most of the time included in the food. Also what do we have over here is the nutrients, the artificial nutrients that are added to enhance the nutritional value. So nutrients are also there. So basically why these are added, that is the question. Out of all these, only this very addition in the food is actually beneficial for you. None of these are beneficial otherwise. All the nutrients that we get externally, that means added externally, which was not at all present within the food naturally. So these artificial nutrients are actually having nutritional value or benefit. So that is what the addition is. Why do you need the addition of these kind of chemicals? What is the need for addition? So that is the question. Need for addition of chemicals in food. Why there is a need of addition of such chemicals? First of all, to enhance the taste. First and foremost is to enhance the taste. Second, to enhance their appearance, adding a cosmetic value to it, to enhance their appearance. And that means adding a cosmetic value, adding cosmetic value to it. Also what? We have covered the food colors, food sweeteners, flavors, all of these are added to enhance the taste as well as the appearance. Antioxidants we have got fat emulsifiers as well as the preservatives. So all of these are actually adding extra life to your food. So to enhance or increase shell life, or simply you can say the life of the food, that it can be preserved for many years due to the presence of these kind of chemicals which are known as the preservatives. So also what do we have? Nutrients added to it which will give nutritional value. So to enhance nutritional value, so these are all the reasons due to which the chemicals in the food are added, and also there may be some kind of adulterants. So adulteration is very common these days. What they do is they actually degrade the nutritional value by adding so many chemicals. Due to the addition of so many preservatives, so many food colors which may be harmful to you, which may be toxic to you, and they may get deposited within your body. But in order to actually reduce the value of that product, in order to actually gain profit, many of the companies, many of the vendors are actually adding chemicals into your food in order to make them appear good, make them appear bright, so that you get attracted towards it and buy it. But whereas they are actually affecting your body, negatively affecting your body. So that is what also there is another kind of an aspect over here that is known as adulteration. Let me just again write it, adulteration. So that is also another kind of aspect which is actually having a negative impact on health. So basically I would like to discuss over here most prominently what kind of chemicals are added. Most frequently what chemicals are added in the food is artificial sweeteners. So we have got chemicals in the food under that category. I have got the artificial sweeteners. We will be discussing about artificial sweeteners in here as well as the preservatives. That is all what we need to discuss over here, that is into the syllabus. So here first is the artificial sweeteners. So first of all, I would like to ask you a question. What are the natural sweeteners which are present in our nature? The natural ones are, yes, we have already discussed these. Those are glucose we have got sucrose, we have got fructose. And most prominently what do we have? In most of the times this is nothing but the cane sugar, also known as the table sugar. So that is present in the sugar cane, most prominently I am talking about. So table sugar. So this is what we most of the times use in our houses during the cooking. And what is fructose? Fructose is actually present usually in the fruits. So it is present in the fruits. So that is how nature provided us the natural sweeteners. So these are nothing but the natural sweeteners. But there is a drawback of these sweeteners. Due to that drawback, we need the artificial sweeteners in our food. So what is that drawback? They actually have a high calorie. So these natural sweeteners, so let me just write the drawbacks of natural sweeteners. Natural sweeteners. So the first drawback is they have got high calories. So they result in high calorie intake. Making it unfit for most of the population, making it unfit for mostly the diabetic patients. Also it leads to what? It leads to tooth decay. So basically high calorie intake, unfit for diabetic patients. Also, the second is it results in the tooth decay. So, it results in tooth decay as well, leading to so much of tooth problems, so much of gum problems. So, I hope you all have got this, that why there is a need of the artificial sweeteners to be added within the food. Now, let us discuss what kind of artificial sweeteners are available in the market. So, first of all, I would like to discuss is number 1, the aspartame. So, the first is aspartame. What is aspartame? An artificial sugar artificial sweetener. And what is the level of sweetness if I compare it with the sucrose? So, this is 100 times sweeter than sucrose. So, aspartame is 100 times sweeter than sucrose. Also, what is important is the structure for aspartame over here. Aspartame actually contains, first is the aspartic acid. It is a derivative of aspartic acid plus another amino acid, that is phenylalanine methyl ester. So, that is what aspartame actually is. So, let us just try to draw the structure. We know that aspartic acid, how does it look like? So, the aspartic acid is somewhat like this, COOH, and what do we have here? COOH, and that is our aspartic acid. And what is phenylalanine? Phenylalanine is that is what again phenylalanine is. This is COOH over here, and we need to have a methyl ester instead. So, that will be COOCH3. So, we need to connect the two in order to have a proper structure of aspartame. So, what would be the structure? It is connected via this NH, and that is how we are going to represent the structure. It would be, let me just draw this here, NH, or let me just shift this phenyl group first over here in order to avoid so much of confusion. Now, what do I need to do? Connect it via NH, CO. That is the kind of structure for aspartame that we are actually obtaining here. So, I hope you all are able to make it with me. It is very, very simple. You need to join the 2 alpha amino acids over here. So, it is something like this. So, that is what aspartame is. So, I hope you all are clear with this idea over here. This is aspartame, artificial sweetener, 100 times sweeter than the sugar. So, I hope you all have got this. Now, let us move on to the another kind of sweetener, which is now another kind of artificial sweetener. You may be having an idea about it. It is the saccharin, very, very commonly used. So, it is saccharin. It is orthosulfobenzimide. Orthosulfobenzimide. That means, what would be the structure for saccharin? So, the structure for saccharin is, I need to have an ortho position, orthosulfo, and benzimide. That means amide we need to have, that means NHCO. So, here is the structure. and a benzene to be completed over here. That is the structure for saccharine. This is insoluble in water. Saccharine is insoluble in water. So basically saccharine is used in artificial sugars. That means sugar free, you might have observed that sugar free contains saccharine, or even in some of the sugar frees you may be finding aspartame as well. So here saccharine is almost 550 times sweeter than again sucrose I am comparing, because it's a natural sugar for which I need to do the comparison. So that is nothing but saccharine. Since this is insoluble in water, how can it be used in as a artificial sweetener? That is the question. We need to actually change its form. We need to actually have a salt of this. So you need to find out what kind of a salt will that be in the case of saccharine, and just revise what we have done so far. Keep on practicing as much as you can. Have a good day.